positive or negative, without some kind of recognition, which I would think is a perception, which supposedly comes after the feeling.
So you are putting two things together. Which one is more priority? First one or the last part?
First one, feeling.
So that means the feeling. You say that while you are walking, you see an ant has been thrashed. And soon you see what happened. Yeah. Then feeling bad is completely different thing by killing. It's also not a killing, it's a happening. So that not necessarily you must feel bad. So you can understand whenever such a thing happens, our mind has a set value and immediately we feel it is our moral responsibility to feel bad. And that is how I become moralist. I become a Samaritan. So you long keep for that happening. So just forgive and forget.
My confusion is, I feel that moral value is the perception I have. So it's like, isn't what I can't get over, what I'm trying to understand is, it's like you have to have some kind of recognition or some value set or something like that that gives you the judgment that I should feel, that I feel bad or good. I feel that recognition or whatever is the perception, but maybe I'm interpreting perception wrong.
Not interpreting perception, you are making a statement that it is your statement, you are going to make it universal. That value, judgment and everything, it's a must, you mean.
Now in the example that you gave,
And leave it as an example, that elders are bounded with the value judgment, but the young children, no value judgment, but how beautiful they are. So therefore we have to say they are fully living, but they have no perception. So what is more corrupted, what is so natural? You or the child? Huh?
I am corrupt, the child is...
So therefore you are defending your corruption. You have a value judgment, you have memory, and therefore everything is going through the value. So you say it is universal, without that how can I do? And you don't know it is an acquired thing. Your perception, your sensations, everything acquired. Because that is why the children, they don't have. And now you have forgotten the acquired thing with the person, and in Sinhala it says, කලින් ආපු කනට වැඩිය පස්සේ ආපු අඟ ලොකු කරගෙන. පස්සේ මොකද ඉන්නේ අඟේ ඉඳගෙන කන කනවා. When the cows, the first the ears and later the horns. And when the horn comes, they become more proud about the later coming horns, and they are going to show their arrogance with the horns. And they forget about the early ears. So likewise, our nature is ears, non-judgmental. With the association, I mean with bad friends, we have our own system now. We call our set of liking and disliking. And that is exactly sometimes we call my personality. And whatever going to happen, we see through that colored glass, tinted glass of your value. And you say, without colored glass, how can I work? So innocent child is give a radical answer for you. Without that it lives, it's fully living. And you love children. Because they are living, they are giving an example, they don't have any perception. And they don't have feelings also. There's a one girl they have found in the book called the Mind. There's a one girl they have found, they have no feelings. And the parents find very difficult to punish her. Whatever the hitting kind of thing, she can't feel. So while she is swinging on the swing, and she has dropped and this whole thing has been gone. And they have put a big plaster. But she is still playing, but she can't feel it. And when the the milk teeth fallen and the other teeth coming, she is grinding each other to the blood, but still they can't feel. So therefore, it's a complete different world. The feeling as a faculty is not there. So girl appear very arrogant. Because no one can punish her, you cannot teach her. Because through punishment only we are teaching people. And you may read in the Richard Stark book, the Mind. So we are, our value judgment is completely acquired thing. If you born in and brought up in a different culture, it's a separate value system. And it's a very nicely, it is put as a joke. You see, in Tibetan, there's a huge cultural value of the Mahayana Buddhism. And the country is so cold. So when they are writing the hell, they write, if you do a bad thing, you will go to a very cold place, the cold hell. And if you are a good thing, you will go to a very warm, a nice place. And that is how they put the hell and this thing. And when they are writing the book in the Arabic countries, Muslims, they say, if you do bad thing, you will be in the so much of heated places. And if you do good thing, you will go to the nice, cool place. You see? So if you do a bad thing, you will go to Tibet. And that is the value. So ultimately, if you know only Tibetan language, you will think that these people are mad. They are writing completely wrong. They have distorted the universal law. But we are writing according to our values. These values are all acquired. But we are unfortunately defending them. We are committing them. We don't know they are transient. So ultimately at the deathbed, you will understand, in order to protect this kind of a temporary thing, how much bad thing we have committed. How nice the life is if we have no such a thing to defend. We would have been a butterflies like. We have been like a children. But now, I am lucky that you are not fighting with me. If I am to talk this kind of thing in the outside the street, they will hack me to death. I am talking something against the morality. Because the moralists are very strong. They take their moral values as the norm, the martyrdom they call. If you are not accepting my moral values, you must be killed. That is the way. And this is not available among the animals. They have no moral value.
So if we do the seeing as you see it, then does it mean that you won't have a positive or a negative feeling, that feeling will be neutral?
No, when you stop at the seeing, whenever the positive feeling happens, you understand this as a positive feeling. When the negative feeling happens, you understand as a negative feeling. You understand this is something separate from seeing. Thin slicing of time.
For the positive feeling to occur though, you have made a perception.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, feeling, the perception comes before feeling. So that's why, to me, how can you have a positive feeling before if you think...
Definitely, if you go to the scripture, it says, Chakkum paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam tinnan sankati passo pasapacca vedana. Due to the contact, feeling arises. Yang vedeti tan sanjanati. Whatever you feel, you perceive. The other way around that, as you mentioned. Whatever you feel, you perceive. Whatever you perceive, you proliferate. And what you proliferate will engulf you. Ultimately, you will be taken away for this mental proliferation. That is how in the scriptures, even this particular sutta, it says, Yang vedeti tan sanjanati. Whatever you feel, it feels selected by your adverting. Whatever contact will come into contact. And soon, and it says, first you apprehend it. And then you reification. It says that when a cobweb is there, and the mosquito, the flying insect will come and touch. Whenever touch, wherever may be the spider, it gets shock. And he spot where the place. And immediately go and attack. Likewise, when the impingement come into our screen, first and foremost, the mind do not know whether it is seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, whatever may be. So immediately go and cognize it or apprehend it. No feeling, no perception. And immediately then only it comes to, it is a seeing, it is good, it is better to maintain with, and kind of thing. Then onward, what you see is what you wish to see. Colored with your perception. There onward, you are not see things as they are. You see what you wish to see. And then onward, whatever the interpretation you are going to give is not the reality. The very first one is the one coming and impinging. When the reification happened, when the recognition happened, your perception is mirroring, coloring, distorting, and keep on you go, that distortion keep on doing rather than you observe the thing. In the mindfulness you have the choiceless awareness, no value judgment, no reaction. You are repeatedly seeing the same thing, and then you see to interpret there is no permanent thing. The thing is transient.
So in that mindfulness, there is no feeling like that.
Mindfulness is defined as unassuming, defined as choicelessness, defined as non-reaction, defined as evenly suspended attention. It's not allowing the liking and dislike to come and when and where it happens, he knows. This is the habitual function of the mind, acquired quality of the mind. Stop at that level. Don't try to interfere in the process. If you are going to interpret, it is going to interpret terms. And ultimately you have to defend and you are committing. So you understand this is the function of the eye, this is the function of the perception, this is the function of the feeling, and you separate them out. There is no momentum there. Cut them into separate pieces.
Okay, I have a question just following from that. Now, in mindfulness in relation, what we are doing is we are training our mind to be able to thin slice time, as you said. As the moment you see something, before even the perception arises, you will just see it's something, you're seeing something. I mean, if your mind is so sharp and so mindful, you are able to see something as just an object or a material or form or something without going any further. Now, let's say someone who is not sharp enough to do that. Seen is seen, but immediately, because the moment you see, if you're not really, really sharp, if you're not really mindful, the perception arises because of our past experience or memories. So would you recommend, say someone, let's say after 3 seconds after perception is complete, ugly, beautiful, hot, cold, or whatever, and then you intellectually, because you intellectually understand that this is, I have aversion or I have attachment to this because of my past experience, would you advise or recommend that person can work backwards and say, well, because it is my experience that I'm having this attachment or aversion, therefore I should not, what I'm saying is, can someone who has the intellectual understanding reverse the process and practice? Deconstruct, exactly. And then
without
practice.
the backing up of mindfulness, it is unsuccessful. You have a hope. That is why the theoretical knowledge means. This is what the meaning of the deductive knowledge means. That you have to listen, you have to tell. The Buddha has to come and tell. So this is what it happens. So deconstruct it. And you can take one step little bit, but not longer. Because your mindfulness is not giving the backing. And the instant mind become anxiety, develop the tension, and pushing towards that to prove that is desirable. You don't miss the chance, get a photo and enlarge it and have it and all the kind of, don't think at that time. So it is tension is make you a slave. The mindfulness is the only one give the clutch. And therefore if you have that kind of intellectual knowledge and appreciation of the very same thing, that means you have the resolute faith, and on top of that you must have the thin slicing of the time. And the return journey, he used the deconstruction is the technical meaning of yoniso manasikara. Yoniso manasikara means today you recognize your anger at 98%. 99ට නැගලයි කියන 100ට නැගලයි කියලා. තද්ද වෙලා ඉන්න කියන්නේ. So 98% you understand, next moment you are going to commit something. And somehow or the other you know, if I am going to commit that, it's going to consequences. But anyway, by the time you are sweating and reddish and all the kind of thing happening. So somehow you stop it. And if you are mindful, and if you are, same thing happen again, and next day, if you are mindful and sharp, you can stop at 97. You can't think that you can stop at 5 or recognize. No, it is happening in such a speed. And 97 is a big achievement. Big achievement because now the deconstruction started. Instead of rushing, doing committing, now come. And next time you have to expect the anger then. You see, otherwise you are hating anger. Now you are expecting anger because you have to have raw materials. Your attitude toward the anger itself is now changed. You go prepared so that you can put the brake at 96. It's a repetition. And then you learn the ways and means. And then you do come slowly, 95, 94. And when it come up to low level like 45 kind of thing only, you going to say that as and when the arising, the anger happens, if you can recognize, you can nip it at the bud level. But if it's gone beyond, you become slave. Earlier, you are the master, anger slave. When the anger become more than 50 and kind of thing, anger control you, you become slave. For that, 3 kind of knowledges. Book knowledge, deductive knowledge and direct touch. Mindfulness. So yogi has to have the theoretical knowledge and the deductive knowledge. Otherwise, just by being mindful, nowhere you can go. Raw materials are there, you don't know how to deconstruction process is happening. If you know, you are better off. So therefore, when you are practicing, you must listen to them. You must discuss, you must have interviews, and you must have mistakes. First and foremost is the mistakes. And few times when you are developing, you may welcome anger. Let come, because this is the only one going to give a red-handed experience. And the desire, lustful feeling, the sex feeling. And when they come, you become, you overwhelm it and you become you run like a mad. But after certain you develop, you kind of use it as a raw material, you ultimately create that kind of thing so that when it happens again and again, you get a better chance to go, advance, deconstruct more and more. And therefore, moralist will look down you. Look down at you because you are inviting anger. You are inviting feelings, desirable feeling. So therefore the Buddha says that Buddha can sympathize such a person. The moralist never sympathize. That is what the difference between the ism, Buddhism and the Buddha Dhamma. People practicing Buddhism never tell you that you are exercising and you have to have anger to understand anger, to digest anger. But the moralist says, no, you must not expose yourself to the anger, you must cut off and go away and all the kind of... So you lost, you have no raw materials. Otherwise you have to have interactions. Each and every interaction, whether you are using in the constructive way or not, it's a completely impromptu. But without that, no go. And it has to be backed up with theory knowledge and all the kind of knowledges together with direct touch. So that is what the Buddha says, the noble quest. This is the Arya Pariyesana. So at the risk of your whole life, at the risk of your whole body, and whole your career, whole your prospects, you have to, it's a gambling. Sudu Gelina. Can someone give any explanation? Thin slicing of time?
I thought it's just like momentary, you just observe, like the rise, the thoughts. Is it, if I'm wrong, correct me?
No, I pick it the book from the Blink by Gladwell. The Gladwell, he is dealing with that, the thin slicing of time. He is never talking about the mindfulness, but it's a very good book. The Blink, and he's giving 2-3 concepts. It's very bright, and one thing is that I am not answering your question. I am taking a chance to give another concept. So when I will put it this way, now you are supposed to be with the breath, and all of a sudden you come to know the breath has gone and you are thinking, and soon you come to know thinking. 2 things can happen. Thinking and they can continue, or it can jump back to the breathing. And we'll say now it is jumping back to the breathing. I think many of you can understand and maybe experiencing it. Under such circumstances, if you analyze this situation, when you are in the breathing, understanding you are on the breathing and mindfulness is a good thing. That is what your career is. But when you are not breathing, mind is not mindful, understanding that very unmindfulness is still better. Yeah? And on top of that, the mind immediately come back to the breath. Okay. So when that happens, as you are walking and if you are step up on an ant, and natural thing is a regret. But here also, going out is a general reason for you to regret. But if you are thin slicing time, you can say at the time our mind become morally responsible. When it is become unmindful, it itself come to know that is unmindful. That is something to be appreciated. And then only it can, secondly, it can come back to the breath as a response. So in he is very nicely analyzing, and we could refer back to the Appamada Sutta. In the commentary of Appamada Sutta, it says there are two kinds of Appamada, Karapaka Appamada and Karaka Appamada. Karapaka Appamada means that your diligence is going to say you are not diligence. Whenever you are not diligent, it is giving a signal. And due to that signal, mind becomes diligent. So two things now. Same written back into two things. And out of these two, which part is more appreciable? The diagnosis or the remedy? So we never appreciate it. We in the meditation, we never appreciate when we come to know that mind is wandering off. The mind is on the mindfulness is good, but understanding mind is wandering is better. So the moment you understand the better thing, you will let it run, play hell. Send kites. I don't care. Because at the moment you will be caught up. Immediately you will come back. So therefore the moment you understand the wandering, the unmindfulness, main thing is not to worry. If you are worrying, you never appreciate it. So Venerable Sariputta put it in a very nice way. Pamade na kampatiti sati bala. Pamada means negligence, unmindfulness. And whenever you note that you are negligent, you are not mindful, if you are unshaken, knowing that very mistake, if you are unshaken, that is called power of mindfulness. Following? So that is the way that in slicing of time mindfulness, it says, each mistake has a golden, the silver line. Each mistake, each misunderstanding has a silver line. So therefore you must never worry about the wandering mind. You must understand and see each and every wandering mind has the end understanding of unmindfulness. The moment you come to understand that, you are already enlightened. It's a realization is the matter, but you see the enlightenment is such a thing. Because this is the only thing you have earned this in this life. It is not given by your parents. It is not given by someone's, by the tablet or injection that you developed. But you never appreciate it.
I've got a question on a different subject. If a person has problems with their vision, if a person has problems with their vision, they'll go get glasses.
Yeah.
If a person is diabetic, they'll take insulin. It seems like what we're talking about with mindfulness presupposes that the person's brain is sound and healthy. What if a person has depression or bipolar disease or schizophrenia? What is your take on taking medication in addition to meditation?
So last time when I come to this thing, I was in the New Jersey and there was a magazine and there was an article, Meditation and Medication. So I read it because at the beginning there was one lady is known as manic, but we call panic. It's a crazy case. And at the beginning I told that, play hell, you meditate. And ultimately she went up to very severe attacks. Ultimately she came and they told, now you go to the psychiatrist. And psychiatrist blackguarded telling that you have to stop the medicine and why don't you take it? And she came and said one day, but if you give the confidence, I would like to do meditation without medication. Then I told, no, if the psychiatrist is telling, we'll both together put. And in that junction only I read that article. I got a copy and give it to her and tell, use both. Whatever may be, you have to get out. But now she's fairly, you can step out and she's still taking some medicine. But anyway, now he has a much confidence on the meditation. And there is one special article done by Daniel Brown and Ken Wilber and 3. They have tried to see what is the level up to which the meditation will be helpful, beyond that hopeless. They say not the marginal, that's a very nice term. I am not much familiar in that sense. It says that bipolar, schizophrenic is hopeless. And that's a very nice term they are using. That is up to level, all the other anxieties and depressions, that kind of thing, you can definitely guide the person to do only by meditation. And beyond that, medication also necessary. Marginal or something like that, and psychiatric people may know it. Psychosis also, personality disorder possible, but there's a borderline is the borderline. Beyond the below the borderline level, meditation can help. I mean, systematically. But if it is the serious disease than the borderline, they say that medication also necessary. So they are now keep on practicing, because in the West it is a very common subject. But the East it is not much. Therefore they have the lot of vivid raw materials, and they are doing the transformation of consciousness and these kind of researchers. Borderline is the decisive place they have mentioned. Angel. No, the best thing is you have to go for the internet and transformation of consciousness and transpersonal consciousness. 2 terms. Transformation of consciousness or transpersonal consciousness. So there is a book, very expensive. Their books are very expensive, and this research is about 15 years old now. Maybe they are adding more and more. There's a very nice team, Daniel Brown, Angle or something like that, and Ken Wilber. I got the original copy later, and they are explaining, but for me, from the Western, Eastern point of view, we have very little access to this terminology. But borderline is that they have decided. Beyond that, you have to go for medication and meditation.
But the diseases like schizophrenia, they have some structural changes in the brain and also like neurotransmitters changes. So they need some medical, because the medicines are like something like neurotransmitters, some chemicals. So they have a chemical imbalance and lack of some chemicals. So by medicine we are giving that chemical.
Yeah, that is right. It is hopeless.
In a certain type of depression.
Serotonin we are taking.
Yes.
So that means they are not recommending meditation for such people. Up to the borderline they can do. After the psychiatrist given the okay, then they can start, not insight meditation, but samatha meditation. And I think that 2006 in the Man and Life conference, after the conference they have compiled the symposium known as Train Your Mind and Change Your Brain. And they have the huge hope. Whatever may be, it is hopeful. So therefore, at the beginning, of course, you have to take it under control with the medication. But later, once the psychiatrist given the green light, you can start with little bit of meditation, and that can hopeful. The neuroplasticity, they call it.
You mentioned that when you do walking meditation, you do the walking first, and then you do the lifting, and then you do the lifting, moving, and putting the foot down. Can you tell me if you're doing the lifting and the moving and the setting the foot down before having gone through the previous processes? Is that very disadvantageous, or what is?
I mean, if the vehicle is downhill, you can start with the third gear. No problem. But if the vehicle is uphill, don't start the third gear. It can't pick up. You have to either go the second gear. It is also bad, but the engineer will say, start with the first.
If you're having mindfulness while you're doing that,
No, don't trust. Be a beginner. By being a beginner, you are losing nothing. But otherwise, you are going to... Many people start the vehicle at the second gear or the third gear. But it is no good. Always you have to at least pick up with the first gear and then go quickly the second and third, no problem. But picking up the vehicle, the third is not recommended by the engineers.
so how do you know when to make the transition from the first to?
So once a familiarity comes, each and every left and the right, you are sure. Do it for 10 minutes without mistakes. That is a good sign. And then you can try, it's lifting, dropping, lifting, dropping. And if it is not disturbing, then you can go forward. If it is disturbing, go back to the first gear. And when you are doing the second 20 minutes, lifting, dropping, and if it is few minutes, you have the consistency, then it's a good sign for you to go for complicated one, lifting, moving, dropping. And if the lifting, moving, dropping is giving complication, you must equally go back. Because when you are doing lifting, moving, dropping, you are start to sway. That your balance disappears. So therefore it's a good sign that is you are advancing too much. And if it is so, you must go to the heavy gear. And when the situation given, go again back to the light gear. Likewise that the synchronizing the proper gear is challenging. It's a good exercise in seated walking meditation.
But when you do the lifting and touching, what is the pace that you should be doing to be comfortable?
The body knowledge. You have to give the body knowledge a chance. Body has to decide the speed. Just like when to go into the second gear, the third gear. Now Japanese cars, they have the speed differences. At this level, second gear. But if you are in the automatic gear, how the auto clutch.
The thing is when you walk fast, I don't know.
So that is why don't complicate. Give the conducive condition, let the body to decide, that is called body knowledge. And then your main aim is not the lifting, dropping, your main aim is mindfulness. So as far as you maximize the mindfulness, all the others are just tools.
Is there a recommended distance or number of steps in one direction?
No, that it says that usually it says it must be not less than 20 minutes because turning too much. But usually it says enough for 30 to 40 steps. So that means 45 feet or something like that. It's the average walking path. In Nissarana we have 45, 60, 90, maximum is 90 feet.
Even in the turning point, if you continue with the same tendency in the mind, lifting, turning, you continue with the same trend without unbroken.
No, generally it says when you are turning, just do left and the right. Because it's a complicated thing. And if I am to add some more, when you are doing normal walking in the day-to-day activities, not on the walking meditation, there also never you should go more than left and the right. It is just a very thin kind of mindfulness, just continuity. In the turning also, you just do left, right, and don't go in detail. That means the situation will be more subtle and complicated.
In the daily walking, when you do left, right, you have to label all the time?
No. That if necessary you can do it, it's a tool, but you instead of wandering, looking here and there, you try to keep the pace with the left and the right. Two more hours available.
After answering each question, can you start clapping? And then
Yeah.
It's a challenge for us.
I think one day, he's sick, so we have to.
So doctor is coming. Doctor is coming. Go for my side.
Let me ask the final question.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think at least 2 times you mentioned that when සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන් කිව්වේ භාවනා කරනකොට ගෑනුත් පිරිමි වෙනවා කිව්වා. මට ඒක තේරුම් කළ දෙන්න මොකක්ද ඒකේ තේරුම?
That
I think for their benefit we should translate that.
I think I want to know.
maybe in the interviews or something like that. Usually I do it. I tell because that beyond the meditation, whenever it go beyond seeing the rising and passing away, that everything, the seeing is rising and passing away, hearing is rising and passing away, in and out is rising and passing away, left and the right is rising and pass away. So when that happens, our mind becomes so backward. It says, am I in the correct path? How can that happen? Because earlier the in-breath and out-breath was there, earlier the left and the right was there, now everything is rising and passing, just bubbling. Under such circumstances, the mind is always come back home. It feels secured at the convention. Now convention is slowly dissolving. So there you have to have a boldness, whatever may be, I will dash through. That boldness I call masculinity. So you have to sacrifice there. If you become the feminist or female and the conservative and come back, I will do tomorrow and all the kind, you will never advance. So that is why beyond that, if you go, all the ladies become males, females become males. That kind of a boldness. It is demanding. It is demanding at that level. Everything you must be ready to sacrifice and just go. That is in Purusha, it's always Parusha. Parusha means that is Sinhala kyane Sahasika. Sahasika. I don't know how to translate it. Napuru neve. You are not answerable to someone. You are not answerable to someone. Take the decision and dash. Sahasika. Sahasam. So that means that it's a kind of the maleness. So at that moment, all the females have to rethink, are we to sacrifice everything and dash through, or to just become conservative and postpone and all the kind of thing. So when I mentioned that when I was in Amaravati, there was one nun, she was so angry with me. She came and told Bhante, how can you tell me like that the female can't meditate? And you see, when I am shaving my head and coming that, my father was so unhappy, but with so much of boldness only I became a nun, that now you are telling that female can't go beyond that. Then I told, that is not the telling I am going to tell. Until at that moment you need this quality. I have to dash through. Then he says, I told male, female. Then no, you are wrong. You are using terminology is wrong. You have to use the masculinity and the femininity. Don't tell male, female. It's a masculine quality. It's a terminology. Then I told I have to raise hand because it's my second language. So she says that I appreciate, but the way you is telling is challenging us, and female can't go beyond that. Not I am not telling that. I am telling anyone who go beyond that feel this the boldness. You have to uncompromising way, unanswerable to anyone. You take. I mean, this is the human rights. This is the way, and you take and go. Even if you run mad, no problem. If you are even going to die, no problem. Because it is such a challenging thing. How can you? That is the point where I think the physics has got stuck now, because they came up to the matter change into the energy. So much that the quantum physics go on, and they don't know how to proceed. Because once the energy happened as energy, it can be a visual object or sound or taste or smell, anything. The energy has all the potential. Immediately when you contact with the senses, it becomes either visual or sound or something, and then value judgment come and make a big connection. Keeping it as the energy level without letting it to collapse into the matter, that is, you need such a boldness and that non-judgmental mind, non-reactional way, choiceless awareness.
When you come to that point, you identify yourself as a male or a female and feel like...
I mean the quality, feminine, masculine quality. Masculine quality is dashing through.
I think I all protesters.
Yeah. All the female noises are, female sounds are coming. Yeah, never mind.
I knew it was a good thing. I mean, the way you said that, it was a good thing.
It's a challenge.
I wanted to really know what you really meant.
Can I just appreciate that bubbling that you talked about?
Yeah.
Now, does it necessarily have to be a fearful thing for everyone? Is it always, or could people be looking forward to it?
No, for some people, those who are under the tension and the anxiety, it's a huge relief. Those who have the lump, the anxiety and kind of thing, the way out, the bubble is kind of a way out. So for them, it is release. But those who have a hard and fast idea of a permanent nature, the Nitya Sanya, for them, it's a challenge. Those who have a well-recognized reputation, for them, it's a challenge. Therefore, it says the meditation is good for middle-class people. It's working for the middle-class people, not the top-class people, because they are living in their image. If whenever it is challenged, they even sacrifice the religion or meditation, anything, they want to adhere to that. And the very low-class people have no time. So middle-class people, even then, my joke is, all the males are not males.
Make you feel better?
In Sinhala, it says Gyanu Nakatenga Padicha Pirimi Kiyala. They are always sluggish and backward and kind of thing. Even within the males, some people are very bold and going, some people are, within the females also, there's a kind they are dashing through. And some others are, so they are called Pirimi Nakatenga Padicha Gyanu. For them, the Buddha is telling, you are my daughter, carry on. So that is what called the transformation of the consciousness. The consciousness transform, bypass or tread past the male-femaleness. Beyond that, no male-female. No ordained, non-ordained. No Buddhist, non-Buddhist. Up to that only all the conventions. All the conventions, male, female, good, bad, just, unjust, everything. Beyond that, Udayape Jnana or quick passing, rushing and passing away, all your value judgment has to drop. Otherwise, no go. And when the better event happens, you never go for the better, you adhere to the good. So that is why coming back home. And a very nice example, it says that there had been a oval-shaped ground, and one old person is living by that ground, and he is becoming old age, and he has gone to the doctor. He has told daily you have to walk around this trip. That means maybe 1 kilometer. So one day he was sick, and he was going to the furthest end. He felt so sick. So he thought he can't complete, he returned back the other way. This is that now I am old age, I can't complete it. So many meditators are just like that. They go to the furthest end, they never go to the other side and finish the circle. They better feel, come back in the same old method, say come back, return and telling that my meditation is not progressing, it is rotating in the same time and the same place and all the kind of thing. Because you are not ready for sacrification. You are not ready to give up the good at the face of better. So it's a everlasting challenge. It's a lifelong research. Throughout, you must be ready to shed off all your good qualities. I am telling all your good qualities, not the bad qualities. Bad qualities is nothing to talk. The Buddha says, Dhammo pivo vikave pahatabba bhageva dhammo. Monks, you have to give up all the good dhamma, forget about the bad dhamma. Nothing to talk about the bad dhamma. So everything we collect, just add tools. Know the end value. When you go to the end, you have to drop everything, one after the other, replacing one after the other. My best example is when you are doing the polo jump. At the peak of the jump, you have to throw away the pole. Otherwise, you will hit the bar. And you are not the winner. So then it's a drop. That drop is winning drop. It's a drop, definitely a drop. That each and every inside meditation is a shock. It's a drop. It's electric. But it's a winning kind. It is never you experience so far. It's a completely a new one. Each and every the inside meditation, inside knowledge is a accident. It's a shock. It's a drop. But it's a winning. So that is why I ask for you to be a male.
Is an hour a day adequate for meditation?
Nowadays?
An hour. 1 hour.
No, not enough. I mean, no. It is that even under American situation, asking 1 hour also very dangerous. But if you can allocate 1 hour, I will appreciate that your commitment. But this is a start. You see, when you are putting a peg into the log, at the beginning, some or the other, there is no English term. Just to
Ignite.
Not the ignite. That the peg is you have to just put it to the log, and then peg can stand by itself. Then only you can start hammering. So at the beginning you have to just little gentle taps to just keep it there. So 1 hour is just like that. When you start hammering, bang and go deep, deep, deep. So it says that Opanayika is the one quality in Dhamma. Opanayika is leading. So you start with a very little thing and it is leading to the better one. And when it's leading to the better one, and ultimately is pushing you more and more to the center and high and high. The Opanayika is not your quality. Once you meet good friends and you start to get Dhamma, it starts the momentum. And therefore you are going to get more and more better opportunities. Each time you must be an opportunist. To pick the better one, leave the good one. And then Dhamma will take care. After little, once you develop this art, you know, you develop yourself how to imbibe the sap of Dhamma. You know the art of imbibe, sucking. Each and every opportunity, it is not the teacher, it is not the environment. The opportunities are there, you are to pick. And at the beginning it is science, and later it becomes aesthetic one, it is art. You know, wherever you go, even the flowing wind is going to teach you. Even the burning fire is going to teach you. Even the earth going to teach you. At the beginning you have to have a perfect teacher and systematic syllabus and all the kind of to start. But later everything happening is becoming a teacher with the time.
Say you have an hour that you can use, then would you recommend like half an hour walking, half an hour sitting?
So that is as far as if it is 1 hour is concerned, I would give 50% chance for walking. And it is priority. And then only sitting. But later when you are adhering to 1 hour, what happens is, after the 1 hour, you get the peace. And it is going for about 15 minutes, 30 minutes like. Whatever you do, you can do very in a serene way. So more and more you have that, whatever the decision you are taking, whatever you do, no much of beating at the bush. You can directly go into the target. And therefore you can perform 8 hours job with 6 hours. Because your mind is clear. And when that 2 hours happen, don't invest it on the economic and social and political gains. At least invest 1 hour back to the meditation. Otherwise it will punish you.
So if you're doing 2 hours of meditation in a day, do you recommend 2 1-hour periods, one at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day, or 2 hours together?
2 hours together is good if you can allocate in the morning hours. Morning hours are really charged, really good. The day is breaking and you are after the sleep and it is refreshed, less amount of half-done jobs. So morning's better, but the time is precious in morning.
Is walking meditation a requirement even for advanced meditators?
Even for the Buddha. Even the Buddha, in commentary it says that after the 3 months of rainy retreat, the Buddha used to take for 6 months walking or 8 months walking or 9 months walking. 9 months is the full-fledged walking up to the next rainy retreat. If that is the case, the monks waiting to follow the Buddha, but they don't know which is going to get the short one or medium one, long one. Venerable Ananda is the only one knows, because if Buddha is going to take a long trip, he is walking, do a lot. He is going to take a walking meditation a lot. Then Venerable Ananda go and tell the monks, this time Buddha is taking to enough walking meditation, that means he is planning for long trip. So this is the injection for acclimatization, vitamin B12 injection. So when you are changing the climate and the food, that usually you give vitamin B12, isn't it? So Buddha's vitamin B12 injection is the walking meditation, changing of the climate, changing of the people, changing of the food. Do walking meditation, it will definitely synchronize your life for the next task. So this is the lacking point, I think, for the lay people, because lay people evaluate walking. They think it's a wastage of time. But the day you understand it, definitely the consistency starts. Therefore,
could a treadmill substitute the walk?
I have no experience it, but I have not done it. Maybe, but it's a completely different walking barefoot on the Mother Earth. It's an intrinsic thing. It's a very aesthetic thing. Just walking on the bare ground with the barefoot. That you can't value. And if it is just half an inch of sand, you will see the difference in reflexology. Reflexive massage. And it is giving, usually when you are walking, that the curvy part never touch on the ground. But if you are walking on a sandy place, the other part bury down and there's a little touch on this area. This is the area reflecting your bowels, your emotional body. So when you are walking, if this is also going to get a little titillation, each and every step-wise, your bowels are working very nicely. And then it has been mentioned by the Buddha, asite pite kaite sahite samma parinamam gacchati. Whatever you eat, drink and lick will be well digested if you are doing walking meditation. So therefore after each meal, you have to have little walking. Specifically on the sandy ground, but here I made one in Melbourne. And prepared the path and put, but unlucky enough we have ordered the very thin sand. It is caking each other when the rain happens and there is a season, the dry wet season. So therefore it's sticky. So you have to have today I tried in the pond. Today water is very heated, so I walk in the shallow water. There you can get the treatment. Otherwise, in the flat ground, the artificial ground is not so nice and so natural. Beach is too sandy. I mean, your walking is very difficult because the leg get buried into the sand. So half an inch is So if the architects are going to add the walking path into each and every house, it will be a luxury. But specifically for all the elderly people.
So did we use the walking meditation as a form of exercise also?
Formal exercise.
Form of exercise?
So that is what the evening walk the people do.
No, I mean the walking meditation, did the Buddha use that as a form of exercise for himself?
I don't know, because for him there is no exercise as such, because everything is meditation, everything is mindfulness. So daily he is Pindapata, and his recommendation is 10 kilometers a day. That is his walking. So each day, early morning they start, up to the Pindapata time, Pinipitayame, they are walking. And then after the Pindapata, have the meal, meditate whatever the place he is having, and night out there. And next day, early morning, get up, go for the next day's lap, 10 to 12 kilometers.
Did Buddha have to train because he was
Yeah, so that's a very good question as far as the motivation is concerned. Those who are beginners has to have a regimentation, training and kind of thing. And the Buddha says if the meditation come into real maturity, you don't know why you are meditating. But you can't do away with that. The day you lose your intention and still do the meditation, you are supreme. Now you have a result-oriented game. That is very dirty, very, very, very inferior. But that is the way we start. But ultimately it come up to the level, you do for the sake of doing. And when I asked that same question from Venerable Jnanarao, my teacher, he says that he has to set a good role model. So even after becoming Buddha, he meditated, he woke in meditation and everything. Even after becoming full Arahant, Venerable Mahā was maintaining all the 13 ascetic practices. That is how they became great masters, and they are setting example for the followers.
How does caffeine help or hinder meditation?
Works for me.
Yeah, at the beginning you have to have all the tools to help get just meditation and medication like. For some people it's working, but still you are depending on something outside. So therefore, whenever possible, you must improvise it with your practice, with your walking meditation, noting. At the beginning you have to get the support that when you can't sit on the ground on the full lotus, you use a cushion. No problem, it's not a crime. But you have to understand, carrying a cushion throughout your life is a punishment. So somehow that you have to be independent, so that each time you make a equal effort to train yourself to with lesser and lesser dependent on the others'
So
material.
it's not a lesser quality meditation because you are aided with caffeine. Not like
It depends, because if you are a beginner, no question. But as you keep on doing it, it's not meditation, it becomes an addiction. But if you still say that I can meditate, but no, without this means that it's not liberation, it's a kind of a addiction.
Yes, you mentioned
Visakha, no, this is not the Visakha, this is Visakha. It's a male. He was an Anagami, and his ex-wife Dhammajiva was an Arahant. And the husband is suspecting the wife's achievement. They say, so all the females are foolish, so she never can be an Arahant, so he goes and question. And somehow the other end result is very nice. And the Dhammajiva was so sharp and give exactly the answer, and ultimately Visakha go and report to the Buddha. Bhante, I went to that and she is giving such a brilliant answer. Then the Buddha says, if you come and ask me, I am also have to give the same answer. So Dhammajiva is smart, Dhammajiva is achieved. So try to be a Dhammajiva.
You really like to listen to your
You are listening.
We are listening, but I don't want to exhaust yourself.
You know what the radio in the dining room is signaling there is a severe thunderstorm warning. The next step would be a watch, the next step would be an advisory. I turned the sound up so you should be able to hear it in the rooms from a mere warning to a watch and to an advisory. And now I'm going to adjust it.
Climate.
No one gets out of here alive.
How to washrooms help you?
I don't know.
Huh? They have some notes. Yeah, I also saw that. I don't know, but how that feels.
I don't either. It doesn't look like it's any more secure than this.
I think there are no windows, that's why.
But
No windows, right?
just one small window.
Yeah, one small window. So you have to be in an area where there are no
I
windows.
think in between the rooms, downstairs should be the same. Yeah. I don't mean, no, this floor, the passage. Yeah.
How about
For the lightning.
no, not for the
No, I mean for the lightning.
No,
no,
not for
not for light.
For what?
Do not do it.
They're talking thunderstorm.
This is
Ah,
thunderstorm.
So if the tornado comes, the vehicle also goes up. Yeah, last time there was a full family, and they were secured, and they were placed again without any damage. I heard. Yeah. And securely bring it, keep it on the ground.
Yeah, but they said not to be in.
Huh?
Act of God.
Yeah, act of God. So before I come also, then few people alarm me that either Osama bin Laden or thunderstorm can come, we not to go to America. No, enough, thank you. So we are going to stop now. Because because climate is no good. No, you can't say because in the same continent.